what are your main concerns. For us, for the European Commission, as I already said it, it's really important to increase the role of young people and to see how they can really lead this movement. We firmly believe on multi-stakeholder approach, and in the European Commission we try to promote very concrete projects for young people. I would like just to share with you some of them. The last one is our pilot project, Digital Opportunity Scheme. I saw that there is a lot of people from Europe here, but maybe together with you we can think about the extension of this project. We launched this project 7th of December, and we would like to offer to students the possibility to make a traineeships, cross-border traineeship for 4-5 months, and we would like to bring to us people, students who are not IT specialists. We would like to show them how important is quantum technology, blockchain, web design, and in that way to give them an added value for the curriculum vitae, because we all know that digital competencies and skills will be the biggest challenge. That's my first priority as a commissioner, and I think that today we have a lot of alarming numbers and figures. Just an example, 80 million Europeans has never used internet, and only 37% of our labor force has a basic digital competencies. And we all know that after 2020, 90% of the jobs will acquire this kind of basic digital competencies and skills. That's why for me it's important really to focus some of our efforts on young people, to promote vocational skills too. We organized the European Week on Vocational Skills. It's a huge success. At the same time, we have some other concrete initiatives. For example, Code Week in October. It's important to show how coding is something accessible, and thanks to young people, because they show me how important it is to have a basic skills on that. It's not a difficult task. So for us, there is a very strong message. You are important. We would like to see your role increased, but we are here to listening to you. What are your main concerns? What is your vision? And how we can join more our efforts to achieve what we share as values and as vision. I already said it. Open, free, secure, transparent, resilient internet, inclusive internet. And when I talk about inclusiveness, it's important as a message for the continents who are outside of Europe. For Africa, we have a very concrete project, Digital for Development. Western Balkans are really important for us, Eastern and Southern neighborhood. I think that only by working together we can achieve results. That's my main message. And in this process, you are really important. So I would like to stop here to listening to you. Maybe Michel, some words before?
Some words. Thank you very much for invitation and this possibility. I share the opinion that youth IGF and youth is very important for the future, not only because young people are the users of the internet and are the native in this area, but also that they are young citizens. And I think we need to combine this practical commercial understanding of the internet with a completely new significance related to democracy, related to e-governance issues and so on. So I think it's very, very important. And on the other hand, I think that it is very important to discuss about the future, not only the future of the internet, but future of the economy, the societal issues, because in the perspective of 10, 15 years, everything will be changed. We will start the work with robots, cooperating with robots, with artificial intelligence, and on the other hand, we need to remember about some ethical issues. We will start to use 5G infrastructure in the perspective 10 or 15 years, and we will have completely new possibilities, for example, in the area of e-health, with a new model of healthcare area much more focus on patients and much more focus on prevention. And we will start with Internet of Things, and those digital things will be everywhere. But on the other hand, we need to remember that this is technology, but the technology is for people. And I think that for young generation it is very important to understand that technological issues are for making the society better and for making our life better. So this is the message, and we need to cooperate with those perspectives and dreams about the future of our lives. So this is my short message to you, but of course, as Commissioner said, I'm open and I want to discuss and I want to listen to you, your expectations, your needs, and your view on some issues. Thank you.
Maybe I can just jump a little bit, help the presentation. My name is Julia Morenets, and we kindly, with the European Union delegation to the IGF, had this opportunity to organize, and thank you for our distinguished guests. I wanted just to bring a word on the Youth IGF movement, which was born in 2011, actually in Strasbourg, France, where we are based, the organization who runs the Youth IGF movement. And the message of the Young in 2011 was, we need to organize the same gathering to discuss internet-related aspects in other countries. And it took place actually last year. We had these meetings organized by the young people, for the young people, but not only for the young people, also with the experts of the IG community in 15 countries. We had 5 in Europe, in European Union, 5 in African region, 3 in Asia, and 2 in Latin America. And we had 15 requests this year. So we had 30 of them, so we were like very positively surprised. And a number of them, they're present in the room. So what they do, there are 3 objectives actually, is to raise the awareness, to raise the interest and the awareness on IG issues and internet-related aspects among the young. It's also to transfer the knowledge and also to have like a train-the-trainer platform on issues like, for example, safe internet and how to use the internet safely. And we have a great lady present from Youth IGF Portugal who actually developed a 3D game on online safety by herself. And this is amazing. She will present it. So I just wanted to present a number of them, and they will maybe come to the discussion. So we have Youth IGF Portugal. From Portugal, Ines and Gonzalo present here. We have a gentleman from Youth IGF Chad, Mahamat, présent ici, plus francophone, but I'm switching into languages. We have also Stellers from Greece. We have also our colleagues who helped to co-organize this meeting from Asian Youth IGF. So you can bring your aspects as well. And I just wanted to say that during these meetings in 30 countries, they identified like four questions and topics they would like today to discuss. It was like fake news. They told this was one of the aspects they brought to the table. They identified blockchain and actually the need for new skills to them, and how the young entrepreneurship will have a place and a space in these new blockchain technologies. It was also the awareness raising on safe and responsible internet. So what can be their role and what can they do in order to promote this better? I think these were the questions, the topics. Maybe you can, if you have a question to ask already.
My first
present yourself, introduce yourself, and a little bit about your background. Thank you.
I'm from Portugal. I just mastered in design and development of video games, and I recently developed a prototype for a game to create awareness in teenagers. And I would like to ask you if you think it's a good solution to do that, to educate the young in cybersecurity issues.
It's not good, it's excellent. So definitely we need that, because actually we know that we need to increase the cyber literacy not only among young people, but these kind of projects are really very concrete and helpful. Definitely we need to do more at EU level, at global level on that, and that's why these kind of initiatives are really helping us to promote the cyber literacy and to see young people who are aware what's happened when they are online. For me, that's a very concrete step, and that's the only one way that we can advance together. Great, continue like that, and I would like just to see how these kind of initiatives are multiplied in other continents, and for us it will be a pleasure to support them. Thank you very much.
I forgot to also
I
mention.
can react on fake news too.
Sure. Just wanted to
Yeah, because the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, gave me the responsibility to initiate at EU level for the first time an analysis of this phenomenon. It's really important for young people because we all know that more than 75% of young people are reading news only on platforms and social media. At the same time, more than 70% of them said very honestly that they can't say what is false and what is true. That's why definitely we need to do something together. That's my first point. I think that there is no silver bullet. There is no miracle solution on that, because this phenomenon, it's not a new phenomenon, but what is new, that's the speed and the dimensions and the very negative impact that for fake news can have on our society, on our democratic values and principles. Because for me, fake news is not only a technological problem, it's political and societal one. That's why I think that only by working together, all stakeholders, researchers, academics, journalists, it's really important to work more on media literacy. For me, is a key element, together with young people, institutions, because there is a strong international dimension too. This phenomenon don't know borders as cyber attacks. I initiated a public consultation 13th of November. Please feel free to participate. It's very important. Now we have only 14 weeks to do that. At the same time, I already announced the creation of high-level expert group, and in only 1 month we received 349 candidacies. Now our very difficult task is to choose the best ones, but my ambition is to have the first working meeting of this group in January, and they will have only 3 months to give me a report with a very concrete proposals. What's about the scope? We don't have a common definition. What is fake news? What are the best practices? How we can identify them and try to bring together all our good practices. And third dimension, what we can do together. There is a field for common approach, common actions, common measures. I would like to be very clear, our intention is not to propose a legislative instrument. We are not ready for that. For me, there is a red lines, and red lines are freedom of expression and this right of access to information. That's why it's so delicate. And definitely, if you have ideas, if you want to participate more actively, it will be a pleasure for me to organize something additional with you. But as already Michel Bonny said it, we count on you as citizens, because citizen in democratic society is citizens who can make an informed choice. And fake news, sometimes the consequence is not this informed choice. That's why for us it's really important to develop this critical spirit. That's why for us it's important to put an accent on 4 elements. What's about the transparency? We need to know more about the money, about all those mechanisms, the diversity of information, the credibility of information, and the inclusiveness. For me, these 4 elements are key if you want at least to try to propose an answer to this challenge. Yes, no legislation, no miracle solution, but we need to try to do something because consequences on our democracy, on our principles and values can be really devastating.
Thank you, Commissioner Gabriel, for your introduction. And as well, I'm very pleased that you mentioned the high-level stakeholder meeting that you will be holding that we found it very interesting. My name is Nadia, and I'm a recent graduate from the College of Europe, Nathalie campus. And I'm on the incoming steering committee of the Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. And we were very dedicated and very interested to join this stakeholder group. However, we found that the criteria was very difficult as young people. There's no separate entry as a young person to enter. So we had to try and find ways through civil society or through online platforms, which are two of the criteria, to engage with this. So if there is any possibility in the future or an extension, just to raise to your attention that we are keen here at the Internet Governance Forum to engage on this issue and really work. But for us, it's very difficult to be able to access this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for raising this issue, and definitely we need to do something more. That's why I already suggested to organize some parallel meetings, just to listening and to have a more strong voice coming from youth people. That will be the case after January.
Bonjour, I am Mohammed from Chad. I'm working with Youth IGF movement. The country that I come from, using internet about 2.6% only. But through this 2.60%, most of them are young people, and they do not know how to use it. They use it only through the social media, and they do not know how to protect themselves about cybercriminality and those things. We we organize ourselves in order to get them together for showing them how to use these tools in the good way. But now, the way that we are using internet in our country is not high. We are in a low, in the basic. But what we can do in order to make aware these young people who do not know how to protect themselves against cybercrime, and how to use this tool in order to make business, to have the opportunity of the internet. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just have to maybe to intervene. I know that the Commissioner Gabriel has an appointment right now, so we really wanted to thank you for. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, you're right. Or if you're first, of course.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you to the IGF for organizing this, and thanks to the Honorable Commissioner and MEPs for being here, which proves that the European Union is not only committed to this issue in words, but actually in action doing it. My remarks are twofold from my personal observations in having lived in various European countries. So first of all, these issues, technological issues, are developing so fast that we actually see, even in young people which were born with the internet and computers, are lagging behind in knowledge of these like blockchain technologies and all these developing issues. So maybe my first remark is we should have more trainings and spread of information about these technologies and vocational trainings, which is why I commend the initiatives by the Commission in that regard. But also my second and more important remark is about how even young people that have knowledge and skills for internet, they're not able to participate in public life simply because there are no platforms for them to do so. And I commend Estonia and the other Western European countries that have done much in that regard, but there are countries in especially Southern Europe, like in the Western Balkans, where it's almost impossible to do any action online. Everything is through long administrative procedures. So my proposal here would be to initiate some kind of public policies and reforms, whereas to allow to young people to be more actively engaged in public life and policy, which is what the Commission is doing, but I think we need more on a wide EU level action in that regard, because youth get to be more engaged when they do that in online rather than in real life. Thank you.
Can we take one more, or you have to?
I would like just to say that I fully agree with you. We all know though how important for citizens it's not only to have access to information, but to participate in a decision-making process. And that's why I think that new technologies are an opportunity for that. There is new ways. So let's do it. Let's have more concrete ideas on that. At the same time, on Africa, bonjour, vous avez un magnifique pays. Excellent, je suis déjà allée. I would like just to say how important is for us these information campaigns. And on our side, as the European Commission, as I already mentioned, please verify a little bit more what is our digital for development policy. And in this policy, we have resources to help you to organize this kind of campaign, because now you know what is the need, and you can share your experience, your ideas. That's the way. On our side, we would like really to promote that. I think that here as a European delegation, we firmly believe that trainings, information campaigns are key if you want really to have active citizens who are aware completely what are the threats, what are the consequences. You can fully count on our support. And I'm so sorry that, because it's so good to be here.
But in your presence, I would like to add something. Thank you very much, Commissioner, for this understanding of the fake news phenomenon and this view on this phenomenon. It's better to cooperate, it's better to work together than to start with legislation, and as in some countries there is an expectation with some kind of censorship or something like that. We need to have internet area open, free, and accessible for everybody. On the other hand, it's very important to understand that this is some kind of ecosystem of fake news, because we have also some phenomena related to fake science now, yes? And I think that critical thinking is very important for all of us, and we need to work together on those issues, and I think that in the Parliament is also this kind of view, not to start with legislation, but to understand problems and to create a good background for cooperation of all stakeholders, etc.
Really to thank Commissioner Gabriel for having accepted to be there to discuss with the young, to take a few questions, and for the support actually that you
Don't
gave to us.
hesitate to contact us, to submit your ideas, some of other initiatives. It will be a pleasure for me and for my team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have to give you our Youth IGF Movement beautiful design t-shirt. I guess if everybody agrees, we can just take a questions and have this discussion. Please. You have the question as well. I don't know who was the first, but please come to the table and yeah. And please introduce yourself as well. Yeah, thank you.
Andrei Sherbovich, Higher School of Economics, Moscow. I think the issue of fake news is very important, even some global perspective in case of somehow a contradiction of different countries in maybe a geopolitical perspective. So that's why it is very important to make somehow universal impact on this issue, to prevent fake news from dissolving societies of the world, and to prevent the using of propaganda for military and other kind of purposes. And that's why it is very important answer of civil society to some geopolitical challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrei, for your statement. We have a question over there as well. Before Jean-Jacques Zahel from ICANN, was President for Europe, asked he was first. I'm sorry. So we would like actually to thank ICANN and to thank our other friends who supported this youth gathering as well, and have an eye on euread.eu and VeriSign and ICANN, of course. And Jean-Jacques, you have a floor. Thank you. You all right? All right. So if you are giving your tour to Martin, great. Okay, Martin, please.
Yes, I wanted to first come back to the remark of the young person earlier on the side of the table. Oh, by the way, Martin, for the last 2 years, I ran a project inside Erasmus Plus called European Youth IGFs, which also sent young people to these forums. Wanted to come back to that remark, and I disagree. I don't think we need a lot of more youth information platforms. I think we have a ton of youth information platforms that are hardly used. I think if we do a show of hands how many of the young people here have actually visited the European Youth Portal in the last year, I think we will not see a lot of hands. Similar when it comes to a lot of these EU-funded information platforms. I have worked as an assessor for the Erasmus Plus program. I know the kind of applications that go in there. I know how many websites are funded. I think right now what we are missing is a lot of the visibility of the existing platforms that are out there, and we lack a lot of trust into in these platforms. That as a remark, but I also have a question to the delegation, because I would like to know what concrete next steps you would undertake in order to enhance youth participation in these forums. In 2 years, likely the IGF is going to be an EU member state, and that would be a great opportunity to get more young people engaged. And what steps would you take?
Good. If you want to answer the question, and then we go, if you have time, to Jean-Jacques. What would you prefer? You prefer collect. All right. So let's go for the second one. Right. Thank
you. I should have spoken first. Martin's always got some interesting questions. I just wanted to say a few words generally, and I think also pick up on the point that was raised earlier about sort of participation generally, not just youth participation. I think it's very interesting. I was here about 15 years ago for the first time at the World Summit on the Information Society. I seem to recall this was where I negotiated the cybersecurity part. I had lots of good fun. And at the time I was a government delegate. I was working with the EU presidency. And I was almost sad that because I was young at the time, and I thought I should be in the Youth IGF delegation myself. Now it's definitely too late. The point is that it's youth participation in IGF and in multi-stakeholder bodies has been there since the beginning, and it's integral. And I think it's something that at ICANN it's kind of we're open and to any stakeholders, including certainly young people. Anyone is involved. So we have programs to bring in young people, like we've got a fellowship program, we've got a new next-gen program, starting from 18 onwards. So we've dozens of young people that come to ICANN meetings, get dedicated training. And I think a very important point, it's true for ICANN, it's true here for the IGF, is this is not just about coming to the meeting and learning and sort of watching. We need you involved, and that's the beauty of the multi-stakeholder model, if it's done properly, is that you're not just coming in and saying a few words as a youth delegate. No, you're becoming a delegate. It just happens that you're young, and therefore we benefit from your perspective and your expertise. And I think it's crucial, including at the EU level, because look at the issues that we're dealing with, fake news, and privacy even. I hear a lot of people talking about all these issues and saying, young people this, young people that, and they're even older than I am. So, you know, a lot of the laws that we're passing today are going to be affecting people who are young now, who are going to be in their 30s, in their 40s when the laws are still there. We need that input as early as possible. I think in Europe we're doing quite well in terms of little by little in bringing youth to these fora. With Michal, you know, you helped us create the Polish IGF, and there's very strong youth participation. In Eurodig, which is the European IGF, we've had, Julia, you've been involved in this for quite a long time. We've had youth participation ever since the beginning. And you mentioned the Western Balkans. What's been happening in the Western Balkans for the past 3-4 years, it's been going actually really fast, and it's beautiful. It's the Southeastern European Dialogue on Internet Governance, which has gathered countries from the Balkans, Romania, Bulgaria as well, even all the way to Georgia and Armenia. And it's mushroomed into little national IGFs. So Bosnia, Croatia even have created their IGFs. I mean, I'm even amazed, like Bosnia in its first national IGF gathered more people than the UK IGF. And they're super dynamic. Now, I think you need to take advantage of these fora, go there, and don't just go there watching and learning, but actually make your mark, make your interventions, because you need to bring the reality touch, I think, to this discussion. So for the next 2 or 3 days, get involved here. So don't just sit at the back and listen. Do take the mic. Do make your voice heard, and then I hope to see you also in meetings like ICANN and maybe European Parliament as well, a bit more often somehow. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all of those interventions. I think that what is a special opportunity for IGF is that we are working in the multi-stakeholder scheme. So it means that we are not working alone. Business, academia, civil society, and representatives of government. We are working together. This is one of the key issue for IGF model. What does it mean? It means that we can discuss all internet issue in the model of bottom-up scheme. This is very important, not up to the people, but bottom-up. And I think it's important, and if you are raising the problem that we need to strengthen this solution at the European level, I fully agree. I share this opinion, because I think that in the area of internet, it's better, firstly, to listen to the people, and after that, to discuss about some solutions. So we need to use IGF model, IGF scheme, bottom-up debates among all stakeholders, also to our decision-making processes. Yes, and I think it's very, very important. Why it is important? Because it involves people, but on the other hand, it's creating the new model of democracy with participation, participatory democracy. And this is the answer. This is the response to the fake news era. This is the response to the populism era. Because if we will be together, if we will work together, if we will disseminate the knowledge, if we will have some checking facts possibilities, checking knowledge possibilities among us as a society, so I think it will be easier to respond to some fake news, fake science, and this vehicle of populism, yes, based on stereotypes, based on bad emotions, and so on and so on. So I think that we need to continue our cooperation. And this is, if I can say, I'm from Poland, so I feel it very, very strongly. This is fundamental. This is fundamental. The fight with populism, the fight with dangers of authoritarian models, our fight with propaganda, and so on and so on. We need to make it together, and in the European Parliament we are discussing about fake news. We are discussing also about platforms. We are rather cautious. We don't want to have the strong regulation in some areas, but we want to create the proper tools for responsibilities for some behaviors, and we want to promote the common actions, yes, because I think it's much more important. And on the other hand, as you know, we have worked, Jan Albrecht is here, we have worked on GDPR, and we will start with GDPR implementation, full implementation at the end of May 2018. We want to continue our work on the privacy issue because we need a privacy issue, and we need to discuss about cybersecurity not only as a technical solution. The private cybersecurity is also related to the sharing of responsibilities among all participants, yes, from individuals to big companies and to the states. What does it mean for individuals? That we need to understand how we need to behave, yes, and this is, we are discussing about the curricula and educational systems. We are discussing about some kind of the new behavior, knowledge about cybersecurity as some kind of cybersecurity hygiene, as washing hands. Yes, so we need to know more about those issues. Only with our participation as individuals, we can respond to some issues which we can define as a dark side of the internet. But on the other hand, we need to remember about bright side, yes? So we need to balance it and not to destroy and not to kill our dreams related to the internet, but improve and correct some bad things. So this is the general answer, yes, but I think that we need to go to go this way. And as you know, in the European Parliament, we are at the end of our terms. We will have 1 year of work. And also what is important, I want to add one point. In April, the Commission will announce the communication on artificial intelligence. This is also the big issue, to discuss about artificial intelligence, learning machines, and robotization, not in the context and in the light of threats and fears. We need to understand all threats and fears, but on the other hand, we need to find some solutions for making this new world much more ethical and much more open for cooperation between artificial intelligence and us as humans, with the strong position of humans as a key players in our human world.
Thank you, Mr. Boni. If I see what we have a couple of questions. We wanted also to bring to the discussion the young from Brazil. I have an eye on Ellison and our friends from Asian continent as well. Please. And I wanted just to say a word on the following. You mentioned the cybersecurity and the importance of the awareness and etc. And a number of people ask us, well, Youth IGF, this is a national gathering of the young people organized by the young people on internet governance and just discussion, and what next? And what next, actually, it's the concrete, result, I would say. It's, for example, it was born a game, 3D game on safe and responsible use of the internet in a number of countries, and I have an idea, and in mind actually Liberia, for example. Afterward, the young people, somehow they organize in groups and they go to meet other young people in schools, and they make the trainings on safe and responsible use of the internet, and in a number of countries. So these are the, what's next actually? Why do we gather? Why do we organize these meetings at national level to discuss internet-related aspects? And just wanted to bring this and to show that we do have results, actually. And we have a couple of questions. I do see Michael, and I wanted afterwards to give a floor to Ellison just after Michael. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Mikhail Komarov, National Research University, High School of Economics, Moscow, Russia. I would like to thank you for organizing this kind of, this session actually, and connecting youth and representatives of the Commission and Parliament. The thing is, I would like to mention two points actually. First of all, I would like to say that capacity building programs and the idea of Youth IGF is really important, because actually not all or not many young participants or young citizens do understand their idea of empowerment of the internet. They are thinking about the internet as about ordinary utility now. Actually, it is good from one point of view because we were, we wanted to have internet as a utility. But from another perspective, we would like to have internet as an empowerment tool, right? Empowerment from the perspective of policy-making processes, empowerment from the perspective of developing digital skills, and organizing new special training sessions, new online educational services, and so on. So this is first point. That's why capacity building programs they should help with that, and also development of the youth IGF movement is also quite important. And second point, I also would like to say that we also should think about business participation. Business participation in terms of the representation of labor market, because actually, when we are talking about educational development, when we are talking about online services or online education itself, we actually sometimes have lack of connectivity to the local labor markets. That's why we have high youth unemployment actually all around the world because of that. And actually, I think connection of youth and business representatives of local labor markets. I mean local labor markets because anyway we all live in countries, right? Even though we have transnational nature of the internet, we should think about some local labor market and we should think about employment as well. So these are two issues I would like to raise, and of course I would like to support from the Youth IGF Russia and several of our meetings that we are for uninterrupted high quality internet and for the free access to the internet, for the free access to the information. So that's our opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mikhail, for a statement. I do see we have a couple of questions before there. We will give the priority to the young. I think that's why we're all here. I have, please go ahead, but present yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Paula. I'm from Brazil. And actually, it's a comment because I haven't seen a lot of Latin American young people over here. But we have some initiatives and some programs in Brazil, actually. We have about 22 young students here engaged in the IGF, brought by Internet Steering Committee from Brazil. And I would like to ask, how can we engage with other young people from around the world? Because I really think we can have a positive outcome if we work together. It's really good to see a lot of people from other countries here. And but we as Global South, I think we really need this strengthening this network. We really need to get some outputs from other countries to work in our own countries. I've been working with some capacity building projects in my city, in Recife, where I live, going to public schools to have like some kind of discussion about internet issues. So I think we could just talk and enhance our abilities to work within the youth. So I really think we should engage more with Latin American and the Global South in general.
Thank you. We will take one more question from the Asian colleagues as well, and from the Council of Europe, maybe go for answers.
Hello, I'm a representative of Hong Kong Youth IGF, and our organization aims to raise awareness of digital citizenship in Hong Kong and to provide platform for young generation in Hong Kong to speak up on internet issues related to them. And actually, our organization will organize 2 workshops regarding the experience from APR IGF and how social media can shape our money in the following days. Actually, currently in Hong Kong, though the level of technology development is very rapid and is very high level, the degree of youth participation in internet issues is relatively low. I would like to ask, are there any methods to encourage students in Hong Kong to have a greater participation in youth issues related to them, or are there any methods or new insights from different continents to motivate them to do more? And actually, what are the major differences between European internet cultures and Asian internet cultures? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We have one question over here, please, and Manu as well, and we will go with the answers.
Hi, my name's Johnny Penn. I'm the Google Technology Policy Fellow at the European Youth Forum. In response to that, actually about methodology, I think, you know, the young people are looked to today because we are supposed to be digital natives and understand the kind of digital world that we're all heading towards. I think it would be helpful methodologically not to think about youth as a single category and to start to treat the audience that we're looking to with a bit more nuance. You know, it's what advertisers are doing. If we want to compete in the attention economy with Coca-Cola and the other kind of major groups that are trying to get young people on their side, I think we have to be start, I guess, mapping the sorts of young people that are out there and what levels of interest they have in political issues. I would hazard a guess that those of us in this room share enough in common that from our social media, you could probably pull out, you know, certain characteristics that we could find other people like us just using those characteristics. That is the world we live in. That's what everybody else is doing. And so for us to really start gaining momentum and getting, you know, tripling the size of this room, I think we have to start using the same weapons that the established kind of platform companies are using in advertising.
Thank you. I know Menno wanted to, from the Council of Europe, to intervene as well, and we go.
Yeah, thank you for the discussion and for creating this space and opportunity. I think I work for the Youth Department of the Council of Europe. We just had a seminar on youth participation in internet governance, and we'll have a seminar, we'll have a session about that tomorrow for lunch. There's 2 points I want to raise. One, I think a lot of the youth participation is very much focusing on capacity building, and I think that was clearly mentioned in the seminar that this is needed. Young people need to understand how this works, so that's very important and great, and youth do a lot of great work. The other element is what's participation, and I think here we are looking a lot about participating in the dialogue, but I think we need to move up the ladder of participation, also say, okay, but it's also about sharing decision-making powers and making decisions. In that sense, like Council of Europe, the youth sector has this co-management where decisions make equally between youth organizations and government representatives. It is a model to explore maybe and to also use. And while in that process, I think we as young people, or the young people, also need to explore what channels that already exist. There are youth organizations, there's the European Youth Forum, for example, that is out there, and there's various others networks that represent young people. And they are by themselves already diverse, because I think also the internet governance still needs to diversify when it comes to minority youth, for example, Roma youth, refugee youth, men, women, etc., LGBT youth. Youth are just as diverse as everywhere else, of course, and we need to get all these voices on board in the youth process, and there are channels there, and I think young people need to start using the existing channels for political participation, and at the same time keep the other channels open for the dialogue, the multi-stakeholder. So I think young people need to be doing things, but the EU also and the Council of Europe needs to step up its game.
All right.
Code sharing.
Thank you, Menno. I think we also forgot. Thank you for your statement. We also forgot the remote participants. Maybe we can take one question from the remote participants. I think there is one, and to go afterwards to the closing word from the European Union delegation. Please, the remote participation. Do we have a question?
Yes, but you need to use the headset to listen to the question.
Okay. No? Do we have a question from remote participant or not?
Yes, there is a question. Okay. Maybe in a bit. Maybe in a bit.
If you speak to the mic, yeah.
Maybe in a bit. He is asking it now.
All right. So maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how to manage this. Maybe we'll...
Can we wait 2 minutes of maybe? Yeah,
the next one, yes. Well, maybe by waiting, because we are lack of the time, we can...
Can you wait 2 minutes, because he's waiting also.
Okay, we have an issue there with the remote participants still.
Yes.
I know we had a question here over there. We will take this one, and we're going to close. Thank you.
Hi, I want to ask some questions. I got here a bit late, so excuse if this has been asked before. I'm here with the Copy Fighters. This is an organization of youth worried about the current copyright reform. And I heard some of the people here talk about wanting to involve the youth, also talking about knowledge possibilities and opportunities to involve the youth in the policy development process. Though at the same time, we see a lot of youth being worried about the current copyright reform and its limit on the freedom of expression, the access to information, and also censorship possibilities are resulting from these articles in the new copyright reform.
Can you please go to the question directly?
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to ask what you are doing to actually involve the youth in the copyright reform, because currently, as the youth, we mostly see the worries and the lobbying of the big media companies resulted into the current copyright reform, and not enough of the worries of the youth in itself. We want to be able to express ourselves on the internet, find our information, and also use the knowledge and information and creative possibilities we see on the internet to create new businesses and talk about the state of society.
All right, thank you for your question. I think we can go. Well, we have the privilege to give the questions and the floor to the young. I think we go now to the answers, and we take your question afterwards, if you agree, please.
Thank you very much. I want to say that there are two more members of European Parliament. Please introduce themselves.
I'm Barbara Kappel. I'm a member of the Industry Committee, as well as Michael Boni of the European Parliament too. I'm originally from Vienna, so I'm a member of the European Parliament elected in Austria. I worked on quite a number of digital files. Actually, the first report I did in the Parliament was about big data 3 years ago. So I find it extremely interesting, and I think for us it's really necessary to share this world of internet with you, because you are the digital natives, as it was said before, and I find it extremely helpful if especially the youth could participate more in the decision-making process. Because if you see our daily business or political life, I mean, we have a lot of information. We have a lot of information from the big power groups, as was mentioned before, and I find it really important that you can raise your voice and that we, hear what you have to say. And I mean, we, to a very high extent, try to cooperate with you. Is it net neutrality that was just discussed a few days ago, where the US started a different direction? Europe says, no, we want net neutrality. Everybody should have the same access. So in different fields, copyright might be another issue. We are working on that these days. So there's a lot of topics where your point of view is of extreme interest for us, and I hope that we can somehow institutionalize your participation here.
Thank you very much. I am Cristian Bușoi, member of European Parliament, also from ITRE, European People's Party from Romania. I also working as substitute member in IMCO, where in the past I was involved in some dossier relating to internet. I also studied medicine, and one of my fields of interest activity, as Mr. Boni also, is e-health and technologies related to e-health. And sorry for being a little bit late. It was very difficult to enter in this building for me, but I'm very glad to be here and very interesting and eager to hear your perspective on the issues that we are discussing. Thank you.
Just very briefly, if I can answer to some questions. First, I want to appreciate the presence among us, people from Russia, and thank you very much for Russia, for IGF Russia, because it's important for democracy, it's important for the democratic understanding of the internet. And thank you very much for your initiative in Hong Kong. Yes, you have mentioned some problems with censorship. I think that in IGF we need to understand all dimensions of the problem in democratic countries, but also in those countries, if I can say openly, which have some problems with democracy. Secondly, I want to say that we are working on copyright. I was responsible for Article 13 in LIBE committee, and I think that we have found the compromise and balanced solution, but we need to work further and continue our achievements. And I think what is important is to empower youth, not only as users of the internet, but empower youth in all roles, on all roles, relating to be refugees, relating to be scientists, relating to be citizens, and so on and so on. And this is, I think, the message from the IGF also. 4 key words from our discussion. Firstly, participation, which is very important for the internet and very important for the democracy. Second, network. We need to work not only during IGFs, we need to create and establish our relations all the year, yes, because I think this is the possibility, and we need to cooperate very strongly. Thirdly, together, as Commissioner Maria Gabriel expressed, in some areas we can achieve our goals, our objectives only under the condition that we are working together. And the fourth key word from our discussion, bottom up. Yes, I think it's important. It's a message from IGF. Thank you very much for your questions. Thank you very much for your involvement. And I think that we need to be in touch much more strongly. And also, Commissioner said how Commission is involved in those processes, but I think that also European Parliament should be involved much more and much stronger. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I think we have to close because people are queuing for this second. You can continue the discussion bilaterally. The room is taken, and we will end. And it's a beautiful summary. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here today, this morning with us, and thank you to all friends. Thank you.